Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's well today. We're back again. My seat's a bit skew with that. Another breakfast brunch for you. We'll talk a bit of Tottenham transfer rumours. It's just the usual stuff, really, isn't it? It's just what we've got to do to get by on the week. Things are a bit sparse, as they say, at the moment. But you know, bits and pieces are going on. Anything that you want to talk about, we'll have a chat about. And we'll see how everyone is this morning. The old weather's the same as yesterday, to be honest with you, peeps. It's very it almost looks bright, but it looks like it's going to chuck it down, if that makes sense. But yeah, the weather's not good up here for the next week. It rained most of last night and yesterday. Was it yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon? Might have been yesterday morning, actually, like late yesterday morning when we finished. It was chucking it down with rain then. But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? What can you do? What can you do about the weather? Not a lot. So let's say a few hellos, see how everyone is this morning. Big up to everyone who's in, by the way. Sporting Journey, Stu's in. He says, good morning, Cookie. Hope you're well. Big up the Sheriff. Hope you're working. I have no doubt the Sheriff is working hard. Stu, he don't make things easy for himself, you know, picking all these hard jobs to do. But no, he's all right, mate. He's all right. He's looking forward to his holiday, Stu. I know that. He also says, good morning to the chat. Hope everyone is well. Please remember to like and subscribe. Absolutely. And he'll be back later on listening as he's got a bit to do this morning. So big up to you, Stu. Hope you're well, mate. Kate's in this morning. Big up to Kate. Morning to you. She says, good morning, Mark and Sheriff, my handsome fellows. Weather report, 12 degrees and 70% chance of rain. 85 over here, Kate. 85% chance, so the weather app says. So it is what it is, Kate. But listen, it can't be beautiful every day. Hopefully that lovely weather that we had, a few days ago now, over the bank holiday weekend, wasn't it? That was really nice. Hopefully we can get back to some of that again. Can't forget Kate's cuddle. There we go, Kate, and a little squeeze. Oh God. Yeah, there you go, Kate. Happy days. Hope you're well this morning, Kate. Big up to you. Morning to you. She's saying hello to everyone. PC's in. Pete Chambers. Hope you're well this morning, Pete. Big up to you. He's out this morning as well, so he's going to watch it on playback. Big up to you, Pete. Cheers, mate. Hope you have a good day today. Rodders is in. Big up, Rodders. Proper Spurs, Rodders. Hope you're well, mate. Morning to you. Excuse me, people. Jimmy's in. Morning, Jimmy. Hope you're well this morning. Big up to you. From a cloudy, wet and windy. Yeah. That was the other thing they said about the wind getting up, but I don't think it's too bad here at the moment, the wind, Jim. That might be later on. It is what it is, as they say. Jimmy says, here's 5 players to transform Spurs immediately. Pickford, Wharton, Sarr, Barnes and Thiago for about £275 million, minus whatever we get from player sales, all prem proven, and at the little risk of failure. Interesting, Stu. Pickford, Wharton, Sarr, Barnes and Thiago. Interesting choice that, Jimmy. We'll see what plays out, Jim, won't we? Probably end up with Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. But what can you do? Marianne's in this morning. Hope you're well this morning, Marianne. Big up to you. Morning to you. Colin's in this morning. Hope you're well, Colin. Good morning, Cookie in the chat from a rather hazy day in South Wales. Hazy is better than chucking it down, Colin, isn't it? So we'll take that. Daz is in this morning. Big up to you, Daz. Hope you're well. Big up to you, mate. Yeah, I'm here anyway, Darren. I'm here. Big up to you. Scotty Colliver's in. Big up to you, Scotty. Morning to you, mate. Hope you're well this morning. And Tom's in as well. Big up to you, Tom. And he said, let it all work out. Chill. It'll be all right, Tom. Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Kate says she doesn't trust Lang with any signings. Get the hell out of this club. Need a better recruitment team. Board needs someone who knows the football side. Lang, the W, that's got a ship's thing on it, out. I agree, Kate. I agree. Bear with me 1 second, people. Sorry, I'm coming back. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry about that. The door wide open. Yeah, morning to you, Kate. And Drewler's in. Big up, Drewler. Another day splashing in muddy puddles. Where's the sun gone? I don't know, Drew. It was beautiful, wasn't it, for a few days? And then, yeah, it just all went out the window for rain. And I think we're all getting it, or a lot of us are getting it, to be honest with you, Drewler. Yeah, that's better. Comments. There we go. Everyone's talking to each other. CEM's in this morning. Big up to you, CEM. Hope you're well. Morning all. Came straight from watching a Rat Scabies interview to the 2 marks. You've got to love YouTube. There you go, mate. I hope I'm better looking than a scabie. Anyway, there you go. Oof, Rat Scabies. Jeez, that don't sound very nice, that CEM. Wembers is in. Morning to you, Wembers. Morning, Mark, and all in the chat. How much are people going to get into the World Cup? I do enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to it, and not the pressure and despair that comes with Spurs. I'll watch a few games, Wembers, and obviously we're going to Portugal on, I think it's the 15th or the 16th of June, the Tuesday, for a week. So we'll be taking in a few of the games. I think there's 2 England games out in Portugal to watch. So we'll be watching them and hopefully putting a few reports together from Portugal to put out to you. But yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, I think we go on the 16th. I think it's a Tuesday. And 2 weeks, is it? Yeah, 2 weeks yesterday. It's Wednesday today, isn't it? 2 weeks yesterday. So looking forward to it. Myself, Mark and Nige, and have a little break for a week. Big up to Lee. Hope you're well this morning, Lee. May the force be with you, sir. Hope you're well. F Sank's in. Big up to the one and only F Sank. Hope you're well this morning, mate. Big up to you. Joe Beasley's in this morning. Big up to Joe. Hope you're well this morning, Joe. And Del Boy's in as well. Big up to Del Boy. Hope you're well, mate, this morning. Yeah, absolutely. F saying RIP Henry Nowak. Absolutely. Don't get me started on politics. F saying, you know what I mean. No, in a very kind way. In a very kind way. Yeah, look, Tommy's put straight away. Yeah, I don't listen. I think a lot of people are very upset about it. I don't want to go into it on here because it will descend into chaos. All right. Let me just say, I think the protesters have got every right to have a pop about what happened with that kid. But like I say, I'll keep my opinion. It's not even an opinion. It's just everything about it. It's just wrong. So, yeah, let's just keep it on the football, or try to keep it on the football if we can. Now, I don't think there'll be any watch along on holiday, Daz, to be honest with you. But we'll probably do a few videos and post them to the channel throughout the week. Because I doubt we'll be going live while we're out there. But we'll see. We'll see. Let me put a link in. See if anyone wants to jump on. Yeah, you're more than welcome to jump on if you want to. Not very good at this today. I'm having a nightmare. That's better. There we go. Yeah, there you go. The link's there in the chat if anyone wants to pop Bob on and have 10 minutes. That will be great. Dave's in this morning. Big up, Dave. Morning to you. Says, morning, Cookie. Hope you're well, mate. Savinio looks more and more likely now, according to Fabrizio Romano. Yeah, we'll put some videos up, mate. Don't get me wrong. If they can sort out a live or something, someone's got a laptop, we'll do it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we'll sort something out. It's supposed to be a week of peace and tranquility and 430 pints of Amstel in the week. That's what it's meant to be. But I know me, and it'll probably be lots of tea and coffee. But there you go. Big up to Stu Boy this morning. Hope you're well this morning, Stu. Big up to you, mate. There's the link again. If anyone wants to jump on, more than welcome. And Mario's in this morning as well. Big up to you, Mario. Hope you're well as well this morning. Dad says, take a laptop with you are allowed. Yeah, that'll be. Sheriff's got the laptop. I've got a tablet thing. It's like not a fold away. It's almost like a desktop type of thing, but all one unit. So yeah, this is too big to take away. But Mark might well take his laptop away with him. But we'll see. Stuart says 430 pints. Is that just Sheriff's intake? Well, that's probably Sheriff's. We won't have time to drink ours, me and Nige, because we'll just be constantly going to the bar to get Sheriff more beer. Eddie's in. Big up to Eddie. Hope you're well this morning. He says, afternoon, Cookie. Big up on chat. When and where is our first pre-season match, and against who? A chance for De Zerbi to check out all the loanees if he takes them on tour. I would assume it's the tour, isn't it, that they're going on, Eddie? Is it Australia again they're going, or like the Far East, Korea way or something like that? I haven't took too much notice of it, Darren, to be honest with you, and I generally don't until all the fixtures come out for the new season, and then I start getting sort of on board with the thing. But yeah, he'll have a few matches to check players out that haven't played. I'm sure there'll be a few that jump on the plane and try and go out and make a case for the upcoming season, I suppose. I'm sure there'll be a few youngsters go. The likes of your loanees that have come back, if you can call them youngsters anymore. Depends what you call a youngster. But listen, players like Mikey Moore, if he's recalled to the club and not sent out on loan, what we were talking about the other day, and Ashley Phillips, if he's not going back to a club like Stoke, or if a loan hasn't been sorted out yet, get them on the plane and go and have a look at them. Because to be fair, I said about Ashley Phillips, I've seen a bit of Mikey Moore, but not as much. And I think Ashley Phillips will. I'm not going to say a beast, because that's putting too much on his shoulders. But he has improved dramatically from the quiet, shy kid who wouldn't say boo to a goose, even though he was still a lump. He's filled out into his body really well, talks on the pitch really well, positioning himself really well, and we'll have to see what happens with him, because we've seen even if Romero goes, we've got Vuskovic coming through. You got Phillips. Obviously, you've still got Danzo, and others. Sinisi coming in. So, we've got plenty of centre halves. There we go. It's New Zealand. There you go. Before my birthday. Knew it'd be out that way somewhere. Playing in Auckland on the 26th of July. Where are we now? Beginning of June, aren't we? Beginning of June. So what they got about 6-7 weeks or so until they play their first pre-season game, and the World Cup finishes. Is it around that time? Something like that, maybe. Does it start on the? Is it the 10th or something like that of June or 11th of June? Maybe. That's how much notice of it I've took. I know it's on for a few days before we get out to Portugal. So perhaps it's the weekend before. It starts on the Saturday or something. It could well be. Kate says she had a nightmare. She's done the 5th already. Mark, just sit on your lounge out and get a tan. They won't know what's hitting them in Portugal when the free anthems rock into town. I don't know about the free anthems, Kate. The free amigos. Portugal won't know what's hit them. I know what'll be happening. It'll be straight out the airport in a cab to the gaff. Go and drop the cases and the first pub that we see. I bet. There you go. Morning, Mia. How are you this morning?
Buenos dias.
Oh dear. If it's not French, now is that Spanish?
Spanish, yeah. I can say Galimera, which is in Greek.
Oh, that sounds nice as well. Galimera. Is it Galimera?
Galimera.
Yeah. Oh, you've got to have the twang on the letters, haven't you?
I'm here to educate. You see.
You can never be too old to be educated, as they say. They reckon you what's it they say? You learn something every day, Mia, of your life.
There we go.
They reckon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what you been up to, Mia? How you been this morning? And what you been up to down on the coast there?
Well, I was optimistic this morning. The sun was out, Cookie, and now it's gone in and now it's gone cloudy. So I'm not so optimistic about the weather this morning. So that ain't good.
You could be getting a bit of rain, Mia, because when I checked the weather this morning, it was really swirling round all over the place, coming in from the west. So, no, hang on a minute. That must be a different weather thing. The one we've got coming in is from the west, coming over from Ireland that way and sweeping across. So I don't know what's coming up from down south. So does it say that you've got rain coming down there, Mia?
Do you know what? I haven't actually checked the weather report. Normally it comes up on my phone if we're going to get rain. It normally says rain's going to start in about 2 hours, and then when it's going to end, it tells me. But it's not really great. So I'm just waiting for my floors to dry because I've got wooden floors. So when I clean them, I have to wait for them to dry before I can let the dogs out of their bed, so they can have nice, clean, dry floors just to ruin.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, we know that feeling, Mia. Morning to Dave as well. Hope you're well, Dave. Like and subscribe. You all know the drill. He is, Mia. Solomon's still a Spurs player, isn't he? He's on loan.
He was on loan. Yep, that's correct. He was on loan. I don't know if there was an option to buy within that loan. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, I can't either. Do you expect players like Solomon to leave, Mia? In the sort of next couple of transfer windows.
100%. We need to get these ones off our books because then we can send other players out on loan that obviously maybe need to go out on loan as well. So we definitely need. He's been on our books for way too long. And there's obviously certain ones of our youngsters that also need to go. If I'm honest, we've got to be a little bit ruthless with it, in my opinion, especially the ones that have been out on loan and continuing to do so if they're not good enough. Someone like Ashley Phillips, maybe he's good enough. So De Zerbi will have to make that decision. But we can't keep sending these players out on loan and just to keep them there. Like, it's silly. It's like a silly thing to do.
Yeah, there's a difference between sending them out on loan for experience and knowing that you don't think they're good enough to play. So, like you say, Mia, he's spot on. He's got to get all these loan players back and have a look at everyone fairly and individually as well as collectively, hasn't he?
Yeah, and like we did with Hill, we had him on our books way too long. Like he's taken up a space because obviously, even though we're not using him in the squad, he's taken up a space for us to send out on loan. So we need to just be a little bit ruthless and have a real huge cull, I think, of our players. And like I say, some of these youngsters who haven't been good enough, I feel like we have to get them off our books as well. And that's obviously money made that we haven't spent. So that's pure profit. And that will go towards the money to buy some new players. So I think we need to just be quite ruthless with those players, especially. Like, Mikey Moore can go back out on loan. That's no problem because he's developing and we can see him as a good player. Vuskovic, we'll have to see what De Zerbi wants to do with him. But if he goes back out on loan, I don't think anybody can really say that that's a bad thing for him because I think personally he will want to because I think him as a person, he wants to develop. So I just, like I say, to me, he has to sign a new contract for Vuskovic. And if we send him back out on loan, cool. But we can't just keep having these fringe players that we're never going to use out on loan. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I read about Vuskovic. I don't know if it was yesterday morning, Mia. It said basically that it was a post on X. I'm trying to remember who it was from. And I can't remember who it was now. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. It said they weren't looking at loan anymore. He was either... he wanted to either get a contract extension, obviously more money, come back to Tottenham, or he wanted to be sold to a club in Europe.
Well,
that's what I read. So,
Joe, the thing about that is, until it comes out of the horse's mouth, I don't really believe what people say.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
There's so many rumours. There's so many people say this, say that, and then the player comes out and says, actually, that's not true at all. So when it comes to Vuskovic, unless it comes out of his mouth, I don't believe him because he said he wanted to go back and play with his brother.
That's right.
And so I think actually that would be wrong then because obviously he wouldn't have said that. I don't think if that was the case. So yeah, I think getting a new contract 100%. But if he feels like he's not ready to play, that he won't get game time, then of course he wants to go and play football. So I think that him being loaned, it's like to me, isn't a bad thing. He's still relatively young.
So, for argument's sake, with everything that's going on about him, we know he said that he would like to play football with his brother for a season. But as Spurs are the holder of his contract, Mia, does it cause problems if they say, for argument's sake, look, Luca, look, this is how it is. You're coming back to the club. You're not going to be first choice. You've got to work your way in, or you are first choice, and this is what's going to happen. Does it? Do you think that he wants to be guaranteed first team football, Mia? Because is there such a thing at Tottenham of being guaranteed? Bearing in mind he played for Croatia in a centre half in a friendly last night as well, I believe.
Yeah, the thing about it is that nobody should be guaranteed. Now, this might be a bit controversial, but here I go. When we had Kane, and I felt like he maybe in certain games maybe could have been rested, we didn't have anybody because everybody said, who's going to be back up to Kane? There's nobody going to come and be back up to Kane. Well, that shouldn't be the case. Kane, to keep him on, he was a very good player regardless, but I feel like players are always at their best when they know they're being pushed and they know they've got another player behind them that could come in above them for any reason, for like them being in a cup game to be given an opportunity or whatever. So I feel like that pushes a player more. So no player, even somebody as fantastic as Harry Kane was, should have been automatic first choice. Now we saw that in a way in the Champions League final. To me, just because he was Harry Kane, he shouldn't have been played. I was at the stadium watching it with my brother, and I said, if Harry Kane starts, we lose. And I can't believe I said that. As soon as the team come out, my heart sunk. And so that just shows you we shouldn't be thinking like that as a club. If a player has a good game and earns it, they should start. It doesn't matter if your name is Harry Kane. So I don't think any player should be guaranteed they're going to start. They should be guaranteed if you are good enough, you will start. If you show me something, you will start.
Yeah.
I think that's how the best teams work. I just don't. Yeah, I think the fans get too, oh, you can't say that. He was our best player. Of course he was our best player, Harry Kane, but he's not invincible and he shouldn't be invincible where he got to play every game because he's Harry Kane. He should play every game because he's the best player at the time.
Yeah, there you go. I agree with that. Spot on, Mia. What was I looking at? I've lost something there. There's Mia's YouTube channel, by the way. For anyone who hasn't subscribed to Mia, get over there, give her a sub. She'll put she puts the work in, new videos and all sorts. So get over there and support Mia and support all the Tottenham channels, people. Dave says he had loaned Tell, Gray, Moore, and Bergvall. Sell the others like Donnelly, Yang, Devine. Don't let Brian Daguy say that, Dave. Lancashire and the rest, they ain't going to make it at Spurs, or they would have done by now. Interesting, Dave. Dave wants to clear out the youngsters that we bought in, or a lot of them. Mia, are you with any of these that you'd keep at Spurs in an ideal world, or loot, or
I think that depending, because of our midfield, if you think depending on who we get, we probably aren't going to realistically loan out Gray, and Bergvall. I just don't think that now. I just don't see that happening, if I'm honest. I think that it seems to be counterproductive because you've had them in your first team and relied on them, and they shouldn't have been relied on. And now we're saying that we should loan them out. It's the wrong way round. They should have been coming in slowly in the first place, not been relied on. And obviously if they need to go out on loan, but we didn't do it like that. So I just can't see that would happen. That's just like my perspective. If you look at it from their point of view, like they're going to say, hold up a second, we were relied on. Archie Gray just got voted the player of the season and you want to go and loan him out. Like, yeah, it doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, and a lot of it, you're right, a lot of it depends on the players that they bring in as well, doesn't it? Over the course of the summer, you know.
Yeah, no, of course. I think, like I say, we still need to have some of those players to be properly bedded in, where Archie Gray hasn't been played in his preferred position. So now that if we get decent players in front of him, he can get some minutes in games, but not be relied on for playing in every other position and sometimes playing in his preferred position in midfield. So I think, you know, they just haven't been developed correctly in my eyes because they haven't had the opportunity where they've been chucked in and said, right, come on, boy, your turn now. You're going to be relied on.
Yeah, well, I'll get where you're coming from, Mia, because Dave says Mia is right. Stop holding on to players that ain't gonna make it. There you go. Wembers is in. Morning to you, Wembers, this morning. He says Veliz is still officially our player, I think. The strange thing about him is that the one time we got to look at him away at Brighton 2 years ago, he came on a sub and looked strong, scoring too. What do you make of Veliz, Mia? Because he's another one, isn't he? We've brought him in. He never really. He got a couple of chances up front coming on a sub and that. I can't remember how many games if he started, Eddie. But he's been out on loan as well, Mia. Do you see someone like Veliz coming back? Because you know, I don't know. He's just another one that we bought cheap and he's just out on loan. Is he back in Argentina now, Veliz, Mia?
No, I don't actually have a clue. I completely forgot about Veliz. I absolutely forgot about him because it's just, his name's never really mentioned. So, Joe, what? I actually don't know. It's disappointing because I think he came in with quite a bit of hope. And I feel like that he was given very limited amount of time to show anything, and then he got shipped out. So I do feel a bit sorry for the lad. He was quite young as well when we bought him. But if he's not to work out, then sell him. Like, it's disappointing. We can always say, oh, I actually thought in my eyes that he would be a decent player, but obviously he never got the chance and they didn't think he was good enough. So it's time he goes, isn't it? He's got to go. Like I'm not sentimental about players. I don't really get like that with players. As much as like I like players, I don't really get if they're not good enough, or if they want to go, then they should go.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mia. I think the time's come to have a good old clear out now. There's never going to be a better chance, is there, as such? And we definitely need to get rid of a few, and we definitely need a few to come in. Drew has put, if it's true about Vuskovic, why are we letting a player dictate his future? This tells you how wet this club is, letting these players rule the roost. We don't definitely know. That's what's going on, Drew. That's just what's being put online and stuff like that. And it's true what Mia says. We haven't heard from the player himself or the club. So we'll just have to wait and see if he's a Spurs player at the beginning of next season, and if he's in the squad or not.
And the thing I would say is that we're not allowing maybe a player to dictate, but they're also a person. And I feel like that you've got to have a balance of saying, yes, you're our player. Yes, we want you to stay. But if he feels like he isn't ready, then I feel like that's obviously his decision, where he wants to get more time and he wants to play. And that's actually a really good mentality to have, where he isn't just willing to sit on his laurels on the bench, or he feels like he's not going to get a chance, so he wants to play football. So I don't think it's actually that. I think that we've also got to remember these players got their own views and their own thoughts about the game and what they want to do in their career as well. So although as much as they are our players, he wanted to go out on loan because he said he wasn't going to get into the team. He said, listen, I'm not as good as even the backups that are there, so I want to go and play football. So I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, depending obviously on their attitude towards it.
Yeah, I get that, Mia. I get that. Where am I? Yeah, this one. World Under says odd that fans want this player or that player, when in reality, bar a good cup run, we play one game a week, and the squad doesn't need to be what we would like it to be next season. World Under, I think you still have to go and look and try and find the better players. And I get where you're coming from. We're all talking about it like, we've got 2 games a week all next season. I see where you're coming from, but we've got to try and clear some of these out and get some fresh blood in, if that's the way to put it, at Spurs. We need some experienced players in, and we need some leaders in as well, because we just haven't got any. That we haven't got anyone that can dictate a game, let alone leaders in the team. Where are you at with that one from World Under, Mia? Because he is right. We've only got 1 game a week next week. So does the squad need to be 25, 26 man as such, or could it be smaller?
I mean, it could be slightly smaller, but we've also got to remember injuries, because the problem we had this season was that we didn't have quality to come in to basically back up those players that were playing. So the players that come in weren't as good a quality. We were relying on youngsters. So I think that you have to remember injuries occur. So yeah, I think that yes, the squad doesn't have to be huge, but I do think that we need to remember we have to factor in injuries. And as I say, some of these players that have been playing currently, they can go to the bench and get better quality in. That's how you improve your squad. You basically improve the team, and then you put the other players onto the bench, and then you keep doing that until you've got good quality on both. And then obviously when you're in Europe, you're going to need a bigger squad anyway. So if we do get back into a European competition, we're going to need that anyhow. So for me, that's how you build up your squad, and you need to have a squad. It's a squad game. Although we're not playing that many games this season, we still could get injuries.
Yeah, I get that. I get it, Mio. For me, it's just like if you're Spurs hierarchy, like you said, and they've come out and said, they've come out and said, things are going to change. We've not had our eye on the football, so on and so forth. Like you say, if you're going to build a squad, I think we all know it's not going to happen in one transfer window. But every transfer window that comes along, you've got to keep looking at your team and seeing, or your squad, and seeing if there's opportunities to improve it, even if it is in January. and you know, you got to keep recycling these players round, and that way they get a fair chance. And if they're not good enough, they go. It's as simple as that. As Danny says, it's a dog eat dog world out there, Mia. It's a dog eat dog world.
It most certainly is.
David says Graham Bergvall need to go on loan unless you want Spurs to stagnate and go nowhere. You say our owners are not learning from their mistakes, yet you are proposing the same thing.
That's not what I was proposing, though, because what I said was they should hold bench and we should get better quality and they should be bled in like they should have been done in the first place. So actually, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying they should be starters. I'm saying that we need to get better quality and they should be bled in exactly how they should have been done as youngsters and not relied upon.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm saying something completely different when people are listening to it, but I don't think that's actually illogical or not sensible.
No, I get where you're coming from, Mia. I think a lot of it will depend on where Spurs buy their players. We're all talking about we need a front line. We need a number 8. We're probably going to need a number 10 and some various other squad improvements, I suppose you'd call them. But I think it depends where we go. I'll be shocked if Graham Bergvall went out on loan. Not because I particularly think they're good enough, David and Mia. I just think like what Mia said earlier. We need to get midfielders in, and I'll come to a point down here in a minute, and I'll bring it up I'll bring it up now, and I can go back. Jimmy says we need to sell a minimum of 10 to 12 players this summer and bring in 5 or 6. This bloated average squad needs transforming and proper big decisions made. That's where Jimmy is on it. Can you see us being able to shift 10 or 12 in one window, Mia, and bring 5 or 6 in?
No, I can't see us doing 10 to 12, but we definitely, I was looking through the squad and I was naming definitely that amount to be sold. And that's not even that, that's quite a realistic one because of the amount of players we've got out on loan. Like half of our loan players can go. But will we get it done? Possibly not. We have to be reasonable about what we expect to get for these players, I think, as well. We have to just be a little bit like cut our losses and go ahead and just sell them to get them out. And 5 or 6 in isn't unrealistic, but we need to get the quality in and make sure, like I say, we've still got a bit of squad depth because of injuries, even with 1 game a week. So it's got to be a balancing act in a way of what you kind of get rid of, making sure you've still got depth in case of injury, a decent-ish quality, and getting the 5 or 6 players in that are really good quality. Not necessarily expensive, not necessarily big names, but of a decent quality for what we need right now to build ourselves back up. You know, because we can't expect for us to be from going one extreme to the other. I don't think that's going to happen. We have to understand that it could take a couple of seasons for us to be back up there, especially attracting quality that we want to be up there. We have to get there and attract the quality to then keep moving like further and further up. Yeah,
I'll get that, Mia. Just to say, there's over 100 of you in here this morning. If you haven't hit the sub button, please hit the sub button and please like the stream as well. We've been doing really well on likes for the stream over the past few weeks. So if you haven't hit that like button, please do, and make sure you get over to Mia, Tottenham's Lone Wolf. Subscribe to her, and she's putting out videos and bits and pieces throughout the week. And also, Mia, you said that you have people on your channel as well, yeah?
Yeah, I do videos with other people as well. I get someone on, have like a little discussion with them. I've had Ash from Spurs Kings. I've had Mr. Box Office himself on as well. So I mix it up. I've had Dan E on. So I like to mix up different opinions because I'm all for different opinions. Like I really think it's important to have discussions with people you don't necessarily agree with. And me and Alex definitely don't agree with a lot of things, but we're always respectful in our conversations. So yeah, I enjoy it. I invite different people, like I say, with different opinions on.
Yeah, different opinions. What makes the world go round, Mia, isn't it? At the end of the day,
yeah, that's it.
we've all got one, as they say. Let me have a look. Jimmy's saying 10 to 12 players. Oh, right, we've got a bit of news on Veliz here. Kudos says, I don't think Veliz was given a fair chance, regardless of whether or not he was good enough.
Yeah, I did kind of say that. I do think he was sort of chucked in a couple of times and told to basically go, and we just kept loaning him here, there and everywhere. Yeah. I don't think he really settled. I don't think he settled as a person. I don't know. I think that he's gone back to Argentina now because I read what Julla said, and I feel like that's where he feels at home. I don't think he ever felt at home in the UK. I think he just didn't settle very well either.
Yeah, it's possible. It doesn't always work out rosy for everyone, Mia, does it, at the end of the day? Let's have a look here. David says, the reason we have finished 17th 2 seasons running because we have acted like a Premier League academy. This needs to end now. The buying of youngsters definitely needs to stop now. Well, I think we've got our fill of youngsters as such, and like we've all said over the last few weeks, we need to try and start getting some experience and leaders in the team, David. I don't know, like you say, how you attract those players after finishing 17th 2 seasons in a row, but someone's got to pull their finger out in the club and start getting some, it's all right, you can say proper players, but we need to get experienced in the team, because we don't want to be where we are again, Mia, do we? Again.
No, I think Robertson's a good start for someone who's a leader. Obviously, he's a bit older, got a bit of been there, done that sort of thing. I think that Conor Gallagher, he's been there, done that. He was a leader at Chelsea. I feel like he's probably got that thing about him as well. So we are getting a few in, but I think that we definitely need to make sure we have quite a few in of those kind of players, and for the youngsters to look up to as well. For them to look up to, for them to learn, because they can't learn off each other. Children learning off children, we saw that just has not worked, because that's what we basically had last season.
Yeah, that's very true, Mia. And DJ says, DJ Midge, I'm assuming he's talking about Vuskovic. He says, if he isn't ready, then why is he going to the World Cup? That's an interesting question. Look, at the end of the day, he's a youngster. He's got Player of the Year in Germany. For me, right, young or not, I think he's proved that he can play football at a very high level in Germany in like last year. I think he was Player of the Year halfway through the season. Don't know if he got voted the whole Player of the Year for the year, but I know he was Young Player of the Year in the Bundesliga last year as well. So, listen, the Premier League is different, though, DJ. It's almost like it's another step up. But you could say that about the World Cup, because he's going to be going out and playing against the best players in the world. So, listen, look, we just have to wait and see, DJ. And like Mia said, you don't know what the players said. We hear the rumours. But at the end of the day, he is a Tottenham Hotspur player. And if they want him, and they want him back, he'll have to come back, Mia, won't he?
Well, yeah, of course. If they want him to come back, and they say you've got to, but then on the other hand, he could then say, well, I'm not signing another contract with you because I don't want to stay here. Like, that's why I've said you've got to be a little bit not cautious, but you also have to understand it from what they might do and their reaction to that. And yes, he is a player, and if he wants to play for Tottenham, brilliant. If he feels like he's ready, brilliant. But he's the one who come out last season and said that he won't get into the team, so he wants to go out on loan. And we don't know how he's feeling now, not from his mouth. So I feel like we have to wait and see what happens, what De Zerbi thinks of him, what De Zerbi thinks as well, because that obviously matters. Whatever De Zerbi thinks, he might not think he's ready. Because if we're going to get, say we've got, say we sell Romero, we sell Dragusin, we might say, well, actually, Phillips is more developed, so we want Phillips to back up Danso. Yeah. Joe, you just don't know what will happen. It's all down to whatever De Zerbi thinks as well when he takes a look at him.
Yeah, I get that, Mia. Dave's put Gray got voted Player of the Season, voted by our fans. It tells me everything I need to know about our fan base. Paulinia was our best player last season by a country mile, and stats alone showed that. What's your thoughts on that, Mia? Archie Gray being voted player of the season by our fans this season. What are your thoughts on that?
I wonder if perhaps our fans felt like with Archie, he was moved here, there, and everywhere. He was relied upon for playing in different positions, so they felt like that level of effort warranted that kind of maybe voting for him. I don't know, like it's a bit of a strange one. Would you really, maybe people thought as well Aloni isn't somebody that you would vote for, and the fact is we've had such a poor season that I don't know if maybe we don't know what the percentage of the votes were, so it could have been that he got, I don't know, like 2% more than Paulinho. You don't know, in it, none of us know. So I think that maybe it is because he's our player that maybe he got set more of a president, like more above people thought, I'll vote for the one that's actually our player and not the loanee. I don't know. I just feel like fans,
I suppose. Yeah.
We don't know. So trying to get into the minds of who all of those who voted, you can't really say, really, can you? Like why people voted for Archie.
No. I get that. He weren't player for the season for me, by the way, Mia either. That's just me. Don't get me wrong. He done all right. Like you said, he was moved about all over the place. But I think there was. And you're right again. Probably Paulinho wasn't our player at the time. He was a loanee, but I think he was immense. Apart from a couple of games where he wasn't even bad, he was just sort of average. But if it weren't for him, if it weren't for Kinski, I don't think we'd be sitting where we are now, still in the Premier League. To be honest, the goals from Paulinho and the saves in the last few games from Kinski saved Tottenham's season as far as being relegated is concerned, I think. But that's just where our eye see it. Go on,
I think also what you understand is that maybe people see it as a bigger picture though, Cookie, because the fact is, yes, they did for those last few games do us a massive solid, but it's actually the vote is throughout the season how they performed. It isn't just that, because the fact is that here and there we've had, I don't know, Van der Ven scoring goals that could have been the one that actually helped us to win a game that basically gave us the 3 points to be in the league still, you know?
Yeah,
so it wasn't them specific games. It's just because those games were under a lot more pressure that people obviously remember those more, that everyone says, well, yeah, Paulinho obviously did fantastic. And he did do fantastic. I'm not denying that. But because it was towards the end of the season and the pressure was high, where maybe people were viewing it as a whole season, not just those last games.
Yeah. Well, with the dross we played last season, Mia, I'm surprised there was any Player of the Season award, to be honest with you. But yeah, it is what it is. Someone's got to win it, as they say. Dave says, having these youngsters that aren't good enough are part of the reason why we are in this mess. Fans have got to stop accepting mediocrity and aim higher, or we will never progress. And I think Mia was alluding to that earlier, Dave, when she was talking about, size of squad. You got to have a certain amount, try and give them a pathway through into the first team. Like Mia says, it could be difficult next year because no Europe, but you have got the League Cup and the FA Cup. And, I think you've got to have something in the squad. You've got to try and bleed the odd one in now and again. I think it's mad having 3 or 4 in altogether. But I think if you can bleed one in here and there and give them a chance, I think they'll have a bit more hope, to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, we've got to try and either, give these players a chance, or like Mia said earlier, you sell them, or if you think they're not good enough for the club, they've got to go. At the end of the day, Mia, you're with that, yeah?
Yeah. But what I would say is that when we had Pochettino, then people didn't actually aim high or expect anything. It just sort of happened. So I don't think fans have any sort of say in the quality that we get. If we say, I'm not saying say for Archie Gray, for instance, what I said about Archie Gray, I think that people obviously say, well, you accept mediocrity, so that's what you're going to get. Well, not really. That's not how it works. Just because I accept it and you don't, who then wins? Like, who we're going to keep him or we're not? It's not down to us, is it? It ain't down to us. So, like, I feel like that fans get the blame for a lot of stuff where we don't actually make those decisions. And I get what you're saying. As a club, we need to have higher standards. But that's what I'm saying is actually we need to do, but we need to do it in a sensible way and also understand these youngsters will have a place in our team and they will have to be bled through. And that's what happens with a lot of clubs. They buy somebody, like when you look at someone like an Adam Wharton, he went young to a club and started and developed, and that's what happens if you develop them correctly, right? So that can happen. We did it with a few of our players that we bought young. We bought Bale young, and look what happened. So what I'm trying to say is that's not a bad thing if you do it correctly with the correct players. So they are part and parcel of football, whether they're homegrown or not. Youngsters getting developed are part of it, but you just have to do it in the correct way. Man City do it perfectly. Always bled in very, very slowly and very deliberately. And then they get their opportunity and that's what happens. And they develop them very well.
Yeah. And if they're not good enough, they sell them.
And if they're not good enough, that's right, they sell them. So I think that's always part and parcel of football. So I don't know why Tottenham feel like they're an exception to the rule where we don't do that. I think we will always do that, but you have to do it in the correct way with the correct players.
Yeah. I get that. And that all has to be when we sit here talking about does the club have a plan, Mia? Do you know what I mean? What you're talking about now, to me, has to be part of that plan. Like, is there going to be a pathway for youngsters? And if the youngsters are not good enough, is there someone there that's going to make that decision and say, right, for argument's sake, these three here have had however many years at Tottenham, they haven't managed to get into the first team. With all the managers that have been in and out since, we need to sell them. To make places or buy other players that come in and improve and strengthen the squad. Julia says, look, there's only 39 likes. Well, we're over 50 now. But again, if you haven't hit the like button, please hit it for us. It makes a massive difference to get it out there. Sub to the channel if you haven't, and to Mia over at Tottenham's Lone Wolf. David's come back at you, Mia. Big up, David. He says, so Graham Bergvall was squad players last season. When they came on, did they change the direction of those games? No, they didn't. We need squad players that come on to have the ability to alter a game.
I understand that, but we relied on them more than we should have because of injuries. We didn't have quality and depth, so we basically relied on them, and that's not how it should have been. Like now we have got Conor Gallagher, and we obviously do need to replace a Paulinia and get rid of a few like Assar and a Basuma. I think that we have to understand that they will get time and come on, but it's about how you do that. If you've got other quality, then you don't have to rely on them. It's the relying on them last season that was the issue, because they shouldn't have been relied upon when they were so young and still developing.
Yeah, I get that as well. Mia. Steve says he'd happily sacrifice one of Bergvall or Gray to make Morgan Gibbs-White and or Wharton happen. They completely transform our already now quality and gives. Does it go on that message, Steve? No, don't know. Oh, here we go. He's wrote it out again further down. Sorry, I'll read it again. I'd happily sacrifice either Bergvall or Gray to make Morgan Gibbs-White and or Wharton happen. That completely transforms our midfield for the now. Offer a big contract and build around them. That's backing RDZ. Listen, Morgan Gibbs-White, his name's coming round again. I don't know what the score is as far as if he is for sale, what Marinakis would want for him. It'd be a lot of money, I would imagine. Steve, whether Spurs are prepared to go there again, I've got no idea. Adam Wharton, Crystal Palace again are going to want big money for Adam Wharton to leave. Mia's mentioned Sarr Crystal Palace. Well, Ismail Assar.
Yeah, I like
You
him a
like
lot.
him as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Just there, Steve, I'd say just for those two players, you're talking the thick end of probably 160 million quid for those two players. And do you see Tottenham spending 160 million quid on those two? And I'm not disagreeing with you that they would be good for our team, the pair of them, right? What I'm saying is, and we've seen it many times before, I know we did go for Morgan Gibbs-White, so we did show intent and didn't get it over the line. But Mia, can you see Spurs spending that sort of money on those two midfielders, or possibly more? Maybe we should be doing it, but will we do it?
I don't think so. I think that probably if we're going to get someone from midfield, I can see it being perhaps someone like an Alex Scott. I think that's more likely. I think that to be honest with you, the money that we're going to have with the players that we sell, I feel like the important part of the pitch to get sorted is the front line, and I think that spending bigger up in the front line is probably more important right now. So it's about needs and musts, and if we get somebody in a bit cheaper in the midfield to help out with the midfield, I think that's probably what's going to be more likely, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That was Paul's one that I just brought up. Kudos says we don't really need Bergvall anymore if we get Morgan Gibbs-White. I'd keep Gray though. I don't think Gray's going to be going anywhere. Kudos, to be honest with you. I think Mia's right. He'll be part of the midfield, but not necessarily starting games. We know we need to strengthen there. What I will say is that if we don't get another DM, if Paulinho doesn't re-sign and we don't buy another number 6 in the window, number 1, after waiting since Moussa Dembele to get a proper DM into our team, a long time we waited for that. And if he doesn't get signed, I know there could be circumstances around it, family reasons and all that sort of thing. But if Spurs are not doing everything to sign João Paulinho, to me that just reeks of everything that they've done over years gone past, especially for the price, Mia. I don't know where you stand with Paulinho, but I think Bayern wanted 30 odd million for him, and I believe the day for the terms of that deal was either today or yesterday that they run out. Where are you with the Paulinho signing, Mia?
I really like Paulinho. I like what he does. I think that he's got a lot of passion, a lot of leadership skills. But maybe, just maybe, De Zerbi, as much as he likes him, is thinking that maybe he's looking for a different type of player in that position. Somebody who isn't just someone who's a bit of a destroyer, somebody who's a bit maybe better on the ball. Maybe that's what he's looking for. And I think that maybe now the way that football is going, I don't know, like you do need a player a bit like that, but you need someone with a bit more than that, if that makes sense. So that could be why. I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying we don't know. I like Paulinho. I would have kept him. But it's also about how much, like I say, we're willing to spend on players, what we've got to spend on players. I feel like that's obviously, I know everyone says we should spend this amount. We've got X amount, but if you're going to be realistic, that's not how it is. So I think that maybe they're looking at their little bag of coins and thinking, how much of those bag of coins can we realistically spend on a Paulinho, when maybe we need to get a different type of player and also bolster up the front three. So, and also depending on how much you get for other players, because we've got so many players that could potentially go out. Romero's obviously going to be the biggest one, the big money one. And then we're going to get little bits of change here and there for, say, a Sarr, for a Richarlison. Basuma's obviously going to go out on a free because his contract's ended. So, and the ones on loan, we're going to get a little bit of change for each of them. It doesn't really amount to much, does it?
No, I think, like you say, Romero, if he goes, and a few of the others, what are they going to raise me? 100 million, between 100 and 120, 130 million,
If
maybe,
that,
for
yeah.
10 million years and 15 million years and stuff like that. So, listen, depending, if that's the money that they're going to use to buy the players with, what they want to do, or whether they're going to add to that or not with a few quid more, will make all the difference, won't it? If they're going to do what they say they're going to do, and start adding, some of these funds that they've got with money that they're getting from selling players and reinvesting in the transfer market.
Yeah, I did say we have to probably buy smarter and think about that more than anything. And I think that that's probably what they're going to look to do. That's why they've got some of these free transfers done, because they know that they're a bargain basically, because money needs to be spent elsewhere. And everything now, if you think about it, the level of player now, even not a high level player goes for 50, 60 mil, that's the thing. So I think we just need to be smart with who we buy, and what we buy. Maybe, like I say, Paulina, maybe they're looking at their bag of coins and thinking, don't know about
that. Yeah, possibly.
Especially because of his age, maybe they're thinking we need to get someone in a bit younger that if we're going to pay the money for, they can be here for a good few years.
Yeah, I'll get that. Steve says, just moving on, Steve says, Ramos and Kang-in Lee at PSG are no-brainer targets for me if they're now available. Quality at a good age, and they get minutes they want. Plus, Lee brings back the Korean connection. There was a bit of talk about him in January, I believe, Mia, that the Kang-in Lee from PSG. Do you know anything about these two?
I've not seen enough to really properly comment, but I know they are good. I know that Lee is a very good player, and he's of a good age, like you said, to bring in. He's not a youngster, but he's not older by any means. So, yeah, and I do think he's a fairly decent player. And yeah, like I say, Ramos, I don't know again, like an extreme amount. I know he is maybe a bit more, I think from what I remember, he's like a bit more an old school, he's a striker, isn't he? He's up front, a bit strong, a bit tough, like a bit one of those kind of players, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think they're both really good options if they're available. Will they want to come from PSG to us? That's what you obviously,
That's the big question, isn't it? Who wants to come and who doesn't want to come? I think we've been turned down by a few already. I think Rashford's blown us out already. There was talk about his paper talk again, but the word had it that Rashford was available, and he's come out and said already, I don't want to go to Spurs. So Sheriff's in. Big up, Sheriff. Must have had a gap on the stop and go this morning if he's on the stop and go. Morning to you, mate. Hope you're well, and hope it's not raining where you are, mate. Show's going well, by the way. There you go, as it always does. Big up to you, Sheriff. Dave said, Vuskovic walks into our first team. People who disagree clearly didn't watch him last season. He was nothing short of amazing. He absolutely shits on Romero and Mickey. Interesting comment, Dave. I watched him a couple of times last year. To be honest with you, I didn't watch him every game. And it's all about, Dave, if he's just ready to step up, isn't it, from that league to this league, which, if you're getting player of the year in Germany, then should he be able to step up? Probably. Experience-wise is what you got to think about as well. Listen, sometimes in life, Dave, we have to take a chance. It's if Enic are prepared to take that chance with Vuskovic, Mia. I don't know what else to really say on that.
I think that you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself saying he shits on both Romero and Van der Ven. I think that Romero on his day is a very good player. He's inconsistent is what he actually is. And I think that they've got a bit more, they have got a lot of experience. They're maybe a different type of defender. So I just think that people hype up these youngsters without seeing them in the Premier League, where we've, like I said many a times, we've had many players that come from another league and we're like, they're fantastic, and they come into the Prem and they just can't do it in the Prem. And I don't think Vuskovic won't, but I just think that to say already, to hype him up that he should get into the first team, I don't know. I think that we've also got Danso, and Danso has been really good for us, although he's a different type again of defender. So I suppose it would be between them two if he come. We've also got Phillips as well. So
yeah. Don't forget Takai.
Oh, Takai. Oh, yeah, I forgot about him too. Bloody hell.
I don't think he's pulled a shirt on yet, has he, Takai? I don't know.
He had didn't he have that weird injury?
Foot injury, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual one that you as well. I think the type of injury.
Yeah, it's madness. Kate said we need to keep Paulinho. He does want to stay. De Zerbi needs to tell them upstairs he saved this club from relegation. Interesting, Kate. I think a lot of people are on the side of keeping Paulinho, to be fair.
I think so. I think a lot of people feel the same, but you don't, like De Zerbi said, he likes him. He really likes his attitude, the way that he is, like as a player, and what he done for us, of course. But they might want to move on, change, because like I say, like the way that De Zerbi plays isn't the way we sort of played. Like there is a lot more complex the way that De Zerbi likes to play, and we just don't know if he thinks that he will fully fit into that. I don't know. Obviously, like just because we want him as a fan, you don't know what De Zerbi actually wants.
Yeah, I'll get that. Morning to Silly Singularity. Hope you're well. And he also says the player of the year was voted on by the official supporters clubs and one Hotspur members. So I don't know how many people that takes in. On the grand scheme of things, I'm not too sure on that, but he's just letting us know that they're the people that voted and made Archie Gray player of the year, just so everyone's aware. What did I see down here? Jimmy says, sorry to tell everyone, but Gray is not going to make it in the Premier League. Harsh maybe, but true. And again, I feel like when I listen to people talking about Archie Gray over the various channels and in the chats, and I think the majority of people are thinking Gray is not going to be good enough, Mia. That's what I see. And don't get me wrong, he's got his supporters. You know, give him time, and he's a kid, he'll be okay. Let him find himself and all that, and I get that as well. But I do see a lot of Spurs fans saying that they don't think Archie Gray is the way to go, Mia, as far as Spurs are concerned. It's one of them at the end of the day, isn't it? It's like you say, I think they was launched in him and Bergvall in different scenarios, and there's no getting away from they weren't good enough as such, because where we finished in the league tells you. But it wasn't just them. I always said the senior players, as many injuries as we had, they're responsible. The ones on the pitch are responsible at the end of the day. Yeah, the youngsters are responsible, but again, they were put in this position by the hierarchy. They're bought by the hierarchy, right? They've obviously been scouted and whatever else, and that's fine. And I think Mia's spot on when she says, yeah, bring them to the club. I ain't got a problem with that, but bed them in slowly. You know, have a youngster on the pitch with 10 other senior professionals, so he doesn't feel out of place, as in there's 6 seniors on there and 4 youngsters that are 18, 19. You know, and Spurs have to learn. We have to learn, otherwise, you know, we're not going to get the best out of players. And I don't think you're ever going to get the best out of Archie Gray until he finds where he wants to play. And then he's got to show that he's good enough to play in that position. Do we think he's good enough? A lot of us, not from what we've seen. But at the same time, in his defence, I will say that number one, he's played a lot more games than he ever should have done, and number two, I think he's played everywhere except goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? With it, perhaps not centre forward either, but the kid needs a settled position, and he needs to fight to get into that team in that position. And if he wants to be used, what's the word, Mia, when you get played in lots of different positions? Not journeyman. That's when you go from club to club. I've lost the word now. Just when you get used in, just like
utility.
Utility player. That's it, Mia. Perhaps that's what he wants to be. Perhaps he wants to be a utility player, which is fine if that's what he wants to do. But I think every player, doesn't matter if you're playing in the Premier League or on a Sunday morning, you've got your position that you play, Mia, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that he doesn't. I think if Stu, I think he's in the chat, he'll tell you that he does prefer to be in midfield. So I think that when he played at Leeds, he was being moved around a little bit as well. So I do think that midfield is his preferred position.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mia. Yeah, and he's got to put his stamp on it if he wants to play at the end of the day, isn't he? So, and he's got to learn quick. Yeah, absolutely, Stu. Thanks for that, mate. Leave a like and subscribe to Mia at Tottenham's Lone Wolf to the 2 marks, and please continue hitting that like button for us, please.
The thing is, somebody's saying obviously about Gray being scared in midfield. At the end of the day, the youngsters need guidance, and if they're, like I said, there's the blind leading the blind. When you had more youngsters trying to lead other youngsters, that just doesn't work. When we had youngsters in the past, we had adults to lead them, to help them, to talk to them on the pitch, to give them information so they know and they learn. But Archie Gray just didn't have that, and plus he was playing every single position, like what Cookie just said. Like, I feel like it's a really unfair assessment of him when he's been moved around everywhere this season and been relied upon more than he probably should have been at a bit of a younger age. I think if he was at another club and he got developed, I think you'd see a completely different player, because I do think he has got it. I do think he has. When you've seen him like on little parts, like little bursts here and there, when you think, yeah, this kid, like he's got good vision, he's got a good pass on him, he is good, but he has to be developed correctly.
Yeah, I get that. In an ideal world, Mia, then of him, Bergvall, Odibert, all these youngsters, listen, they would have come in and been bit part players. I said, and people can go back and check it, because I remember it vividly. Archie Gray should have been shadowing a player like Polinia. If this is the position that he wants to play, people can say, well, he's not a DM, Mark, he's a number 8. That's what he wants to be. Whichever. Let's say he wants to be a DM, right? Paulinia's come in, he's a Portuguese international, yeah, excuse me, a very good player. So I would be then saying to Archie Gray, in an ideal world, shadow this fella. Everything he does, yeah, what he eats, when he goes for a pee, whatever it is, what he's studying, what he does in his spare time, what he does to relax, yeah, shadow this fella everywhere, training, everything, learn from this bloke. But Spurs don't or didn't, whether it's they didn't or didn't have the opportunity to do that because of the injuries, I don't know. But Paulini has been here for a year. Archie Gray's been here for another year. And unfortunately, at the moment, he's got no further in his development, because most weeks he's been having to play on the pitch in whatever position. Mia, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I think that the thing is that these players, it's important for them to have these experienced players to show them, like I said, the way. And they just haven't had that. What we did was messed up. We brought too many youngsters in, relied on too many youngsters, didn't bring enough experience in, ended up where we ended up, playing a manager, obviously, as well. We're playing with a manager like Frank, who didn't really want to go out to play games of football to win them. So there were so many mistakes made, and I think it definitely has impacted on development of some of the younger players for sure. I think that it's definitely impacted on them because they haven't had that person to look up to rely on, and also they're playing games of football where I don't think, like Frank, I still, for the life of me, couldn't work out what he was trying to do on the pitch. Like I couldn't see anything, a plan or anything. I just didn't know what he was doing. If that's how I feel, imagine how the players felt as well, playing that kind of football. So I think that can mess up their development too when they're being coached or not coached correctly. So I think there's so many factors that we've got to sort of like put into what's going on with our youngsters. And I agree that some of our youngsters aren't just good enough and probably do need to be shipped out. But I just don't think Archie Gray is one of them. I think there is a good player in there, but I think he needs to be coached correctly. I think he needs people to look up to. I think that he needs to have a bit more time not being relied on and play in midfield where he is actually preferred.
And then see how he goes.
And then see how he goes.
You know,
yeah,
go on.
And if he's not good enough, get rid of him.
Yeah.
That's, honestly, get rid of him if he's not good enough. But I feel like for me, I would judge them when they get to that point where they've actually had enough of playing in their position and enough of like a consistent manager to see what they're really about. And he hasn't had that as a youngster.
No, well, listen, I think you've got players like him, you've got players like Tell that have cost 35, 40 million quid. And he's another one, just because we haven't gone out and bought what we believe to be a proper left winger. Tell's ended up playing a lot of minutes, especially under De Zerbi. Now, listen, and I'll quite happily sit here. I'm not. Youngsters is just part of whether they come through the academy or teams buy them. You get youngsters come in, right? The problem is nowadays is that 40 million quid, right? And it's a lot of money still, don't get me wrong, but it's being thrown about for everyone now, right? Every player is 30 million, 35 million, 40 million quid, and they're not 40 million pound players at this moment in time. Whether they ever get there or not is another matter, because none of us can sit here and say Gray and a Bergvall or a I don't know, an Odibear, if you like, a Tell, won't turn out to be very good players later on in their careers, depending as well if they move clubs. You know, how they're being asked to play, I don't know. Like Matisse Tell, don't get me wrong, he's improved as such because he's getting a run in the team, right? I can see little bits, and it is little bits. And I can see little bits, but little bits is not good enough, right? I want him to get the ball. I want us to have a winger that's going to attack his defender that's marking him. I want him to knock it past him, yeah? Show that burst of pace, get a step in front and put that ball over, whether it be on the left or on the right. I want to see the little 1-2s, give and goes, and defenders are asleep, and it's making you look even better. I want to see all that type of football, but I don't think these lads have got it at the moment. And when I say lads, I'm talking about all of them. When Bergvall come in, Mia, right? When he was brought in, we had all the thing about Barcelona wanted him. We got him over Barcelona and all that. And then he was launched in, right? And I sat here and I said to everyone, I can see a player there, but he wants too long on the ball, right? And then as time was going on, what did we see from Bergvall, right? All we saw was an headless chicken running around, right? And it wasn't the same Bergvall that first came in that I thought, oh, he's got a bit of potential. You can see he's got a good touch. You can see that what he wants to do, but he wants too much time. And then you expect over the year, that especially when he's been playing more, I'm expecting him to improve because he's playing more. But I don't see an improvement from him, Mia. And I just think that's basic stuff that when you go to a Premier League football club, automatically your brain should have to adjust to, I'm playing against the best here. week in and week out. So I've got to keep doing what I'm doing, but I've got to do it quicker because otherwise they're going to be on me. But that's just an example, Mia, from me for Bergvall. And you may disagree. That was just how I saw him when he came in. I thought, oh, yeah, decent touch. Gets his head up, has a look, but wants too long. And he'd get robbed of the ball and robbed of the ball. And then,
yeah, no, I agree. He definitely he was good when he come in, and I agree with you. He was taking too long with the ball, like holding on to the ball for too long and getting it taken off of him.
yeah,
But what I see is a young player who I don't think he's been coached. I don't think he's been coached correctly because I think that, like I say, when we had Frank, what was Frank trying to do? I don't really know what Frank was trying to do. And someone
trying
pointed
not to
out,
lose before he won.
yeah, and the fact is that he was being used with alongside Archie Gray without anyone experienced in the midfield to sort of help them out as well. I think it was just a cluster F of a mess when we were using and relying on these two kids that needed to be developed, and they just weren't developed or coached in the right way, in my opinion. I just don't feel like they've been coached because I feel like all of the stuff that was good about Bergvall has gone, and that just doesn't disappear from a player unless it's coached out of you. And I feel like that's what's happened because I don't think he was coached correctly, in my opinion. That could just be my opinion, but
Yeah,
I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, depends what they're doing in training and all sorts, doesn't it? You know, it's listen, people will have the opinion that if they're old enough, they're good enough. I think there were circumstances last year, and I'm only being honest. We had a lot of injuries to big players, a lot of injuries, and some of them even now still career threatening that are still going on and not anywhere near coming back. You know, again, it's down to the hierarchy. They're the team, they're the people that put the money into the club and basically will give the budget out. And then it's down to the scouts. Now, Mia, the scouting for me is another conversation because I think from the top of the scouting of what's currently gone on, what went on in January, to how it filters down. And yesterday I was watching a podcast. So it will be Mackenzie, yeah, that would be the head scout. And he's got 10 people that scout for him. And Mackenzie will report to Langer and they'll talk to each other about what they're doing, what type of players they're looking for, what price and and so on and so forth. What are the 10 scouts doing, Mia? What are the 10 scouts doing that cover most of the world, not all of it, but most of the world, stealing a living at our football club? What are they doing? And that goes from Langer all the way down on the scouting side. Because when I heard that last night, I thought, that can't be true. That can't be true that we've got scouts everywhere and no one's doing anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I did a video about it this morning, actually, about
Sorry, Mia, I didn't know that.
That's
Sorry.
right. Yeah, no, that's right. I spoke a bit about that, obviously, the scouting, and that's something that we do definitely need to improve on and needs to be looked into, because there is plenty of times where you think, why didn't they just go for like this player who isn't like a far off, like a hard target for us to get? Like, what are they looking at? Like, what are they looking at? Are they just watching? I don't know what they're watching. They're watching something on Netflix, because I just think, why are we not going in for these players? So our scouting needs to have an overhaul. They need to be sat down and spoken to about what the heck they're actually doing and what we are looking for. They need to be spoken to about what we're looking to do as a team and what we're looking to recruit. They need to have a serious head wobble done, because I just think that they have been absolutely useless with what they're doing. And I thought that Lang was going to go. I thought that Lang was going and we're getting somebody else in from what I heard.
Yeah, this is another contentious issue, isn't it? And again, this is from the fans' perspective. And when you look at what Sebastian Kiel has done, he's been at Dortmund. A lot of people say that he could be coming in to work alongside Lang, so he drops back down and deals with the youth again, and this Sebastian Kyle or Kiel, however you pronounce it, would deal with the senior players as such. For me, Mia, two DOFs don't work. Right,
No.
it just don't work, right? I think Spurs have proved that. Now, I don't know, everyone out there, there's lots of very experienced DOFs out there, and you can go right to the top and talk about people like Ralph Rangnick, right? Louis Campos, who scouts for PSG. These are the top bods that will probably never work at Spurs, right? But there are people that are up and coming, and sometimes, as Spurs try to do with buying youngsters at transfer windows, there are DOFs, if you like, out there that have probably not got to the top of their game yet, but show or have shown over the past few years that they've been doing it, that they have bought very astutely. And it might have took a bit of time, but players have, grown into the clubs that they've gone into and ended up being very good signings. That person, for me, if you can attract him, is Dougie Freedman, right? Because he knows a lot about a lot of the leagues. He especially knows about the Premier League and the Championship. An ex-player, and made this his job. He's out in Saudi at the moment. No doubt he's on more money than me and you would ever see in our lifetimes over there. But listen, the pull of a Premier League club, right? Dougie Freedman, someone like Dougie Freedman should not be out of the realms of possibility for Tottenham to attract as a director of football. I don't know what your feelings are on Dougie Freedman, if you know much about him, Mia. And look, for me, Lang should have been gone months ago. I sit in here every day. Why is the bloke still here? I say the same about Vinay. Why is he still here? But I don't think he's going to go anywhere. If anyone's going to go, it'll be Lang. But why he's still here now, I've no idea, apart from they don't want to get rid of him until they can announce someone that's definitely coming in. I don't. That's the only thing I can think of. Mia, but he's got to go, hasn't he, Mia Langer? He's got to go.
I believe so. The only other thing I suppose they might do is basically delegate the youth to him, and whoever we get in, they do main players for the main team, adults, not kids. So maybe that's what they'll do. I was watching something really interesting about Kiel actually last night, and someone was saying who works in Germany that he probably got a bit of the rough end of the stick when it comes to how he's viewed and what he did. That actually it wasn't as bad as maybe what some people were saying. So that's an interesting take from them. But yeah, Dougie Freeman would be a fantastic someone that we could get. He's very good, like you say, scouting. He seems to know his stuff, experience, everything that we're probably looking for in somebody to come in and be a DOF. But will he come? I mean, if he's earning that much money, is he going to come? You're sitting on, you're basically pooping out riches basically over there, because you're you could afford to wipe your backside with a £50 note, the amount of money he's probably getting over there. So that's obviously something that it could be trickier to try and get him. But yeah, someone like that would be perfect in my eyes. Whoever we get has to be improvement on Lang, because honestly, he just seems to have absolutely not a Scooby. And then I don't know slang, Scooby-Doo, Clue. He just doesn't seem to have a Scooby, in my opinion. He just, I don't know, he walks around just aimlessly, he just doesn't look like he's got anything even about him to even have conversations about this. So I do think he needs to go. I think we need somebody with a bit more get up and go, somebody who's got a bit more knowledge in actual men footballers, not just kids. I think that's really important now for our team. So I'm really hoping that they do sort it out and that he does go, or he gets demoted to doing just youth players, because right now what we need is somebody, like I say, with their head screwed on to really sort this team out and to shake it up. And it isn't just about who we get in, it's about who we sell as well. We need to get some of these players out, and you have to have somebody decent who is going to be able to talk to other teams and to be able to negotiate these deals. Yeah. Because can you trust Lang to do that? I would trust my dogs more than I would trust him to get the deal done.
Yeah, Mia, I'm with you. I can't stand the blow. I just can't see what he's done for Tottenham in the time he's been here. I just can't. 2 17th place finishes. That's what he's done. Just moving over to Steve's comment here, and when you look at it this way, Steve, you'd say no, it's not out of the realms of possibility. Excuse me. So, when we spent 120 million on Richie and Solanke, 160 million plus for Morgan, Gibbs, White and Wharton would be a game changer. Minus some midfield sales, it could dent that hit considerably, even if it's Bergvall or Gray with Sarr. Now, that's a very interesting point, Steve, when you put it that way, because we did do the best part of 120 million on Richie and Solanke, right? So, but what I will say is that 160 million for those two, if we went and spent that money, let's just say Spurs went and got Morgan Gibbs White and Adam Wharton, right? And we'd probably sit here and go, well, really, really good. Because I know I would. Yeah, both of these players at Spurs all day long, right? They're just my type of players that I like to watch. That's just me personally, right? If the money don't mean anything to me, Steve, whether it's 20 million, yeah, or whether it's 120 million, right? It's what you see with your eyes at the end of the day. They're both quality players. Wharton should only get better at his age. Yeah, for me anyway. Morgan Gibbs White, a very, very good player. So, yeah, that we can do it, Steve. But then I know Mia's going to come back in a minute and say, right, if we did go and spend that money on those two, then what about the real issue of the strikers that we've got up top? Or we need 2 strikers as well, because Richie's going to probably leave, or hopefully he's going to leave. To me, I'd sell Solanke tomorrow. I don't think he's a Tottenham player whatsoever. Again, that's just me personally. Mia, where are you at with this comment from Steve? Because the way he puts it, it would or could be within the realms of possibility. We have got the money to do this, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, but if we spend it on that and then don't get anyone in the forward line, everyone's going to go apoplectic, because obviously that's the most important part. I think we could get one. If we got one of them, I'd probably get Gibbs White, and I think he's a bit older. I think he's got a lot about him. He does score goals. I think he's got the right attitude. Mr. Marinakis won't let him go though, because he's still probably holding him up by some sort of point of a certain object. But yeah, I do think that he would be fantastic. But I just, like I say, don't see that happening. I really don't. To get both, because I feel like the money needs to be spent up front. And if we spend it in the midfield, I think they're going to go, well, we didn't have the money to spend any more up front. And then what we're going to be left with? We need to buy a winger, at least 2 wingers, in my opinion, and a striker. I don't think we're going to get 2 strikers, because I think Richie will go and Solanke will stay. So yeah. I feel like that money needs to be spent up front. And if we're already getting, Savinho, then I think
Apparently,
that's obviously...
That's advanced, Mia. That I've heard
there
this
we go.
morning. Yeah, the talks are advanced on that. So I don't know if that's breaking news or what, but yeah, I did read. That this morning.
Depending on how much we're spending on him, that's probably around what we're going to get for Romero. And then, like I say, the rest of the money, I feel like we need to spend perhaps elsewhere, a striker and maybe someone else for Kudus' side, because I think on the right side, Kudus is a good player, but he doesn't score goals. I'd like somebody who's maybe a little bit of a different type of winger on that right-hand side, personally.
Okay. On Savinho, all I can tell you is I know that when Spurs were in for him in January, they were talking 70 million plus, right, for Savinho. That's what Man City wanted for him, right? And I think Spurs nearly got there, and then there was an injury or something, and they said, "Oh, they're not letting him go." Whatever it was that happened. I'm under the impression now that City are willing to let him go for between 35 and 40 million quid. Right, which is a massive difference from January. Again, whether it happens or not, I don't know. But apparently, talks are advanced with Savinho to come to Spurs. Again, that's only paper talk, and I did have a phone call from someone that let me know that as well. But that's just someone that I talked to. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens with him. To me, if they get him in, I think it's an upgrade on what we've got. And I know where Mia's come from, didn't do a lot at City last season. And we can go back to players when they were I don't know, what I saw when he was in Spain at Girona before he moved over to Man City. I'm taking that type of player all day long because I think he would create havoc. I said the other day, Mia, this season, right, it's been Tell, Richarlison, Mawani, or Solanke, Mawani, whatever. It's been generally those three. Now, if I gave you those three, and then in the next breath, I said to you, right, next season, it's going to be Savinho, Vlahovic, and Kudus. No one, number one, could tell me that's not better than what we played with last season, right? And number two, if those three, right, can't function and score goals, football's finished. Because I'll tell you now, if you put those three together, you'll get more out of Kudus because he's got a proper centre forward in there, right? You'll get more out of Savinho because they've got something to aim at all the time. They'll learn how this fella plays football, this Vlahovic, and people again will say, "Oh, hang on, Mark, he's on 300 and whatever grand a week at Juventus." I don't care what he's on. It's up to Spurs to deal with it. Give him a massive signing on fee if they don't want to break the wage cap. But that's the sort of player that we should be trying to entice in because they're good players and in some cases very good players. And they might have been in the doldrums a little bit, but they need bringing out of their shells again. That, you know, people that are very good players, just because they have spells at clubs and they're quiet or they have injuries, it doesn't turn them into piles of shit. Right? That if you've got it, you've got it. And it just needs bringing out at the club you're at. And I would like to think that if Savinho comes to Spurs and he come for 35, 40 million quid, number one, I think age is on his side. Number two, I'm not saying he is the ultimate winger. I'm saying he's an upgrade on what we've got. I'm saying he'll take his man on. I'm saying he'll be that type of guy that Spurs fans love because he does do a bit of the show pony and stuff as well, right? And I just think it'll bring it out of him. I do. So if I said those three to you, Mia, Savinho, Vlahovic, for argument's sake, which I believe is gettable, Dusan Vlahovic, I think he'd be great at Tottenham. Right, and Kudus on the right, surely you'd take those over what we had last season.
I mean, if Savinho improves to what he has been doing, like, to me, the way I see it is that if he was that good and City rated him that much, they wouldn't have lowered their price. So if they obviously value him at less than what they did in January. Why? Because he hasn't produced. And yes, players can be different at different clubs. I agree. Like, they can come to another club and be
Oh, she's gone. Her internet's run out. She'll be back in a minute. Don't all leave because Mia's gone. Stay here. Don't go, people. Hold on a minute. Let me just do that. She'll come back in a minute. Perhaps her phone battery went. Yeah, she's back. Hang on. Let me just bring her back in. There she
Sorry.
is.
I touched my phone. I was cleaning, and then I touched something and knocked my phone. Yeah, as I said, if he's improving 100%, and definitely Kaz can come back into another team and be a lot better. And
Yeah.
I'd hope that would be the case. And I hope that Kudos comes back from his injury and he's a better player, because I do think he held on to the ball sometimes a bit too much. He was a little bit selfish with the ball, and I'm hoping that he's going to be developed a little bit. And if those are the cases, then yes, I agree, it would be better. But it's all depending. It's all if, buts, and maybes still, isn't it? Like,
absolutely it is. Yeah. You're
and
spot on.
Always, but that's always the way it is with football, because it's always going to be a risk that you're going to take. You know, if you see a player that, like I say, hasn't performed in another team, is he going to come and perform for you? You know, you just don't know, do you? So, yeah, of course, I think if they all improve, if they all come and perform well, then yes. But if, obviously, that's a wait and see, and if buts. So
yeah, it is absolutely if buts. It just like when I put them three names together in my own mind, Mia, right? And I think, that'd be for that. Let's say, for argument's sake, and I thought to myself, that's Spurs front line next year. Those three, when they're available, they will be the three players that are, you know, that on performance are the best in their positions. I'd take that all day. If someone said to me now, right, Spurs are getting Vlahovic in, Kudos will be fit as a fiddle for the beginning of the season, and you know what, we've took the risk that we can get Savinho playing like he was back in the day in Spain, and it's cost us, I don't know what, a chunk in wages and 40 million quid. I'd take that all day long over what we've got now. Honestly, Mia, I couldn't see how that wouldn't work. But again, that's just, we talk about different opinions. I get where you're coming from on Savinho, because he has got to prove it again to me. You know, he has been very quiet, and he's had injuries, and he hasn't fitted whatever system that Pep was trying to play over at Man City. And we know that perhaps Pep didn't fancy him in the end, because he went and got Semenyo, you know, and they've got Doku, you know, so perhaps he didn't live up to Pep's expectations. I really don't know, Mia. But personally, I would love to see him at Spurs. But that's just me. That's just me. I just think he'd end up being what I'd call one of those back in the old days at White Hart Lane, the seat clicker, when people used to stand up and crane their heads around the beams when David Ginola used to get the ball. Do you know what I mean?
Good old David.
That's what I mean. You see? I'm not saying Savinho's going to be David Ginola, by the way, but you know, David regularly got people up off their seats, as everyone knows, back at the old White Hart Lane. And I don't see any reason why Savinho couldn't be that left winger for Spurs. Yeah, that does get people's bums off seats, because I think he's got it in him. I really do think he's got it in him, and I think that the money, that they're talking about now, a lot worse is out there than Savinho. That's just where I'm at with it, you know. But again,
like I said, I think that for me, he's still relatively young. He might get people off their seats. There's no point of getting up off your seat if then the end product is absolutely pants. So that's where my concern is with him, that his end product hasn't been all that. And so I feel like that's a fair comment. But if he comes in and he does well, I'm going to say I was wrong. I'll put my hands up and say, do you know what? I'm really happy, because I want him to do well. Of course I do. If he becomes a Tottenham player, of course I want him to do well. So it's not really like that. I'm always somebody who gives a player a chance, even if somebody I was a little bit sceptical about. I'll say, cool, I'm pleased that I was wrong. Like, I'm happy to be wrong about him. 1,000,000%.
And in this case, people, Mia won't say that she was just wrong. She'll say Cookie was right. That's what she'll say, people.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
We're never always right, Mia. That's the thing about opinions. In
I hate to tell you, but you know, woman's always right. But what can I say?
I'm not saying anything about that. The missus might be in the other room watching the show.
Exactly.
So,
I knew that. See,
Mia, I'm 57. I've learnt my lesson. Trust me. Before now.
And before anyone gets on to me in the chat, I'm just joking. It's a joke. Okay,
yeah,
it's a joke.
It's a joke.
Start getting on to me in the chat. She's saying this is what about women, about men? No.
I haven't got that far down. I'm still at 10:38, Mia, now, because we've been yapping, haven't we? So I haven't been clicking on the things. Tom says his dream signings are Morgan Gibbs-White, Rodgers, and Rashford. But I don't see it. I don't think Rashford would come anywhere near Spurs because we wouldn't offer him the money that he would want Tom. Morgan Rodgers, how much are they going to want for him? They was talking about 80, 90 million quid in January. So I don't know what he'd be worth now. Very good player, though, by the way, and developed well. Another player that's, as he stepped up a level at a time, he's took it in his stride and he's turned out to be a very good player. I remember him back, I believe it was Plymouth, in his Plymouth days, when he was playing for Plymouth. So big up to Morgan Rodgers. And obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White is a very good player. I think he is obtainable. Mia doesn't because of Marinakis. But I think if Spurs went about it the right way, instead of trying to cut corners like they did apparently in January, I don't see why he wouldn't. But again, it's getting him out of Forest, Tom. You know, the same as it's getting Rodgers out of Villa to come to a team that's got no European football this year. You know, and would Spurs pay that type of dough for him? I don't think they would. But who knows, Tom? Who knows? Where are you with any of those three? Mia, Morgan Gibbs-White, Rodgers, and Rashford.
Rashford, I just don't think he sees himself on the level of us. I think he thinks himself a bit above that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I do really like Morgan Rodgers, but I don't think he'll come to us because look what they've achieved over at Villa. I just don't think that's someone that we can get. And Morgan Gibbs-White, like I said, he's gettable as in he's level wise coming from Forest to Tottenham, but I just don't think Marinakis will deal with us. I just don't. I think Marinakis will just say, yeah, we're going to add an extra 90 mil on because it's Tottenham, because he's a bit of a hole like that. Like, if you know about what he's like, look what he had a fight with someone, didn't he? Punched somebody at is it a basketball game or something? Like, the guy is a bit of a loose cannon.
Yeah, he is. I think he thinks he can do what he wants when he wants and how he wants. Mia, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, a bit of a gangster or something. I don't know. Maybe,
allegedly, let's just say, like I said, allegedly, he went to court and people were going to obviously speak against him and they disappeared, allegedly, and didn't come into court. So make what you will of that.
Yeah, we'll say no more about that.
And if I disappear off the internet, I've got in no way want to hurt myself, harm myself, or want to be away from my children. So if I disappear, you know that something untoward's happened.
There you go. Mia, you told all 120 people, Mia. I don't know what to say. At least there's 121 of us that know anyway, Mia, that if you disappear, it's probably Marinakis. We know where to go and look, Mia, if anything happens to you. But it won't. You're safe, Mia. I can guarantee you're safe here on the 2 Mark show. There you go. ZZ says, how much is it to buy Paulinia? I think it was in, and Mia may put me right again, I think it was in the original deal. It was 30 million euros, ZZ, that worked out to 26 million pound. And then that was meant to have run out. It's either today or yesterday. That deal was meant to have run out. Tottenham haven't took the option up. He said he wants to stay. Apparently, De Zerbi said he wants him to stay as well. He's just got divorced, so you have to take that into consideration as well. And then on top of that, now over the last few days, Sport in Lisbon have chucked their hat in the ring, and obviously that might have turned his head a little bit because that's his own country, so he'd probably be able to see his kids more. That's just where I'm at with it, Mia, and that's all that I know about it. I don't know if you got different perspective on Paulinho and how much he is to cost and that sort of to buy. Sorry.
No, I think you're spot on with how much he was if we were going to get him. But now, obviously, that deal's out the window. I'm not sure what the cost would actually be. I felt like that maybe Tottenham were thinking because of his age that he wasn't worth that much money. I don't know if they can negotiate any less. I don't know how much Sporting have actually put in for him, how much they're willing to pay. That would be interesting, actually, to see how much they will be willing to pay for him. I think that probably then, if for instance they go a lot lower and get him for a lot less, then obviously that shows that actually he wanted to go to them versus Tottenham, because I think if it's a lower price point, I think Tottenham would go in for him. If it's around the same price, then obviously they weren't willing to negotiate on that price.
Yeah, well, like I say, it'll all come out in the washing. We will see. Steve says, I think we can add the type level we need for a net spend within 100 million to 150 million pound area. There's obvious sales and a big decision on 2 or 3 sales some might not welcome. Gray, Bergvall or Tell. Steve, I don't think that's any of them, mate.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
I just don't think they will.
The only one possibly is Bergvall, because we didn't pay much for him, but we've only just got Tell on a permanent. And Gray, I think we paid enough for him that they'll want to get something out of him, which they've not yet got. So I just don't see that happening. I think Sarr will go. If Bergvall goes, Sarr goes. Obviously, Basuma's free. You've got Vicario, Romero, and Ritchie. They're all the ones that are going to bring money. And then obviously any of the loan ones that we've got that we could sell for like pocket change, basically, probably. So they're the only ones I can see realistically being sold.
Yeah, there you go. I think the names that you just shouted out there, Mia, I think they are the ones that need to go. Basically, obviously, we could add more to that, but if you was to say a bunch of players that are going or need to go now, and we need to replace them, the names that you've just said there, basically, and obviously by a left winger as well, that would help the situation.
And of course, like I said, like Valise, Solomon, like all of those sort of ones, they're going to go. Probably a Dorrington, some of that are youngsters that we'll get pure profit from, but it's not going to be, that's going to be pocket change in comparison. So we'll maybe get like 30 mil for those altogether, something stupid like that. So it won't be big bucks, but it will be getting players off of our books for sure. Yeah,
trimming down the squad a little bit. And like you say, Mia, like, you know, if you did get, say you got that lot out that you just said, I don't know how many players you said there, about 7 or 8 players' names you gave there. If they did get them out and, you know, they managed to raise, I don't know, let's just say, like Steve says, 150 mil. Now, if Spurs then went out and bought 3 players of a proper standard for 50, 60 mil, so they probably spend 30 mil over the top there, Steve. If you got 3 really good, it's still not enough. Don't get me wrong. It's going to take 1 3 players to change this team. But for me, that is what they've got to do. But they've got to do it, Steve, in consecutive windows. There's no point doing it now. And then in January, they don't, even if they're going by 1, you know, to add to it. Because there might be another one that's ready to go out. And this is what Mia was saying about recycling. And, you know, they need to identify who they don't want at the club no more. And even at a loss, Steve, they need to sell them just to get something back on them, you know. And this is where we haven't been strong enough, Steve. You know, people are sat talking about Ben Davis and being given another contract for a year. I don't think it's to play. I think it's for him to do his coaching badges to become a coach at probably Spurs.
Well, he needs to do the coaching badges without us paying him to do so.
There you
I'm sure
go.
he's got enough. I'm sure he's got enough money. Bless him, poor thing. Bless him,
There you
living in
go.
blooming luxury. Joe?
Why they've got to give him a contract? And that's just my assumption, by the way. I don't think he'll play for Spurs, especially with Robertson now. Someone mentioned earlier on in the chat, Mia, about it was Drula said about Sousa probably going out on loan. Now Robertson and Udogie are playing for that place at left back or left wing back, whichever. Whoever plays when and when required. Drula was saying about Sousa going out on loan. So there's one straight away that was bought in January and will disappear out on loan somewhere. Got a lot, and this is what we were saying the other week, Mia. They've got so much to do at this football club. I think it's impossible for them to do it all. I don't think they've got the right people in charge that in the first place. Again, just my opinion. There's no one up there that's got a clue about football. Lang is supposed to be that person. I just don't know. And they're the sort of announcements that I wanted to hear. Even if it is Sebastian Kiel. You know, Joe Bloggs is coming in to do this job. You know, they said that in their statement, they think they're happy with the people that they've got in place in certain positions, and they'll only be adding to it. That's their words, not mine. So I'm still waiting to hear. What? Sorry, Mia?
Well, they're all words, aren't they? And not so much actions. Like that's what I said the other day. I just want to see actions. I don't want to hear no more of your words coming out of your mouth. I just want to see you do something and not actually have to tell us. Because the fact is that the proof is in the pudding. So bloody well do it. Yeah,
absolutely. Adam McFarlane says it's time to unleash Williams Barnett straight into the first team squad. We always have one player, Mia, and listen, I'm not saying he's not going to turn out. I was shouting for him to play in the end because I've run out of ideas what Spurs were going to do last season. This is before the change of manager and all that type of stuff. But listen, where do we go with someone like the alleged talent that Luca Williams Barnett is? Is he one of them players that we now need to get him out and start getting him playing football every week?
Yeah, I think we do, because I think he's still young to be coming. Because the thing about the first team is it's all well and good. We've got one game a week. How many games is he actually going to get? Is he going to get to actually play football? Is he at an age where he can go out on loan and be all right? Or does he want to stay around a bit longer, playing a bit more like of a very much fringe role? Obviously, it's about his development, where they see that development going. He is a very good player. Personally, I don't think he's probably ready to go into the first team. How many tiers down of it, like, is he going to be, and how often is he going to actually get to play? That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we covered that with Vuskovic, Adam. Just to reiterate, it's just paper talk, tweets and stuff like that. I just heard it had been narrowed down that he wasn't going to go out on loan to anyone, Adam, and that he was either going to get a new contract at Spurs and come to Spurs, or go somewhere in Europe and be sold to someone in Europe. Again, like Mia said, it's just stuff that comes out from supposed ITKs that are normally 98% wrong. It's just paper talk, if you like, Adam. That's all I've read. And like Mia says, whether it's true or not, we just won't know until the club decide, what's going on with him, because they don't tell you anything, Adam. And this is half the problem that I moan and bitch about, that they don't tell the fans enough of what's going on, and they're not transparent enough with what they're doing. And this is why I believe that they don't give a shit about the football, Adam. Mia, I don't know where you are with it, with how things stand.
Yeah, the thing is that when they do communicate, it's like a lot of words, and I think that people are really fed up with that. I think that people have that's taken them so far, and I think that people are really, really fed up with that. I think that everybody is just like, right, okay, we were 17th last season, and yes, that wasn't a big threat. We weren't really under threat of being relegated this season. We actually were. So you need to get your asses into gear and sort this out and stop just keep speaking about it and actually do it. Because if we don't, we're going to be in the same position next season, and it will be down to them and their incompetence. So I think that they can communicate. People want them to communicate, but in a way I don't, because I just feel like whenever they communicate, they either say the wrong thing or make it worse, or they don't really say like what everyone wants to hear, because it's very subjective of what people think's good or what's bad. I feel like they just need to do actions and stop chatting about it.
Yeah, fair play, fair play. Return to normal says, I'll look at it different. Big up to you. It is Tottenham that have held up Bergval's improvements. It could well be return to normal. Like I said, when he first started playing, I thought, oh, this kid can play football. Because that's what I look at to see if people can play football. That's what the game's called, football. Yeah, and I looked at him and I thought, there's something about him. He looks a decent player. And then I worked out what it was about him that I didn't like. And it was that he wanted too much time on the ball. And you know what you think straight away. He's come into the Premier League. Let's give him a bit of time and see if that improves. But it doesn't seem to me like his brain's clicked in to realise when I get this ball, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to have someone on me within half a second. You know, and whether that's from other players not talking correctly on the pitch, I don't know. But he hasn't made that step. And then, because of how he's being asked to play under different managers and whatever else, all I've seen for a lot of the rest of the time when he's played, he's an headless chicken running about. And I'm getting close for that being his nickname. And I don't want him to be that, because I can see that there's a player there, whether it's at this level or not, because again, he's another one that's having to make the steps up from where he's come from. Everyone's raved about him before he got to Spurs, by the way, I'm talking about. And for me, he's gone off in a different direction from what I saw when he first came. And that'll probably be the fault of having all these different managers and being asked to do things that he's probably been never asked to do before. Well, again, whether he's good enough for Tottenham, Mia, I don't know. I don't know. I look at him and I just look at him and I think, you can play football, kid. Do what you're good at. You know, and I've seen him knocking 25-yard balls across the pitch and having pokes from distance and running with the ball. And I'm not saying he's not no Zinedine Zidane or anything like that, but he has got a bit of time on his side. He has got a bit of something. And to me, like Mia said earlier on, this is where these players that you can see they've got something should be nurtured and bled in slowly with a group of seasoned professionals, not with another 3 other kids that are trying to learn their trade. Because that's what happens when you do that, you finish 17th.
Joe, the other thing I would say that I didn't mention earlier that I can see sometimes in these players that are younger is confidence. They're lacking in confidence. And I think that Bergval runs around like a headless chicken, and I think he's lost that confidence. Because I don't know about you, but when he first came, he seemed to be a bit full of like confidence in it. Like he seemed to have that about him, but he seems to not have that as much anymore. And I don't know what's like. I think that maybe with the accumulation of everything that's gone on, that he doesn't feel like that anymore. And that obviously impacts the game, especially when you're young, because what happens when they're young and you've got a team full of experience, they sort of take it on the shoulders for him and say, it's all right, lad, like you're all right, like it's cool, we've got you. But we didn't have any of that because he was playing with youngsters, and Archie's the same. And I feel like that's probably impacted their confidence as well in how they play, because they're not got anyone around them to be like, you're all right, we got you, you know? I feel like that's definitely made a bit of a difference as well. I'm not trying to excuse them, but you've got to understand when you're young, all of these things do make a difference. Even like a young person, young people with like confidence and stuff, if their confidence gets knocked, you know, like it is a thing. And they were young when they came in, and they're still relatively young. They're still developing as young men. They're not yet a man. They're still young men in my eyes.
Yeah, fair play, Mia. Fair play. Rain's in. Big up, Rain. Morning to you, mate. But I would be looking at players like Yildiz or Sade. Both scored around 10 goals per season at left wing. Interesting, Rain. Yeah.
Both good shouts, both good ages, both good, like they do score goals. I feel like that's the kind of player I would have looked at, not a Savinho. Like to me, like I said, that bit more experience and somebody who's got actual end product is, I feel like, what we actually need in this team, not somebody who can dance and then don't have any end product. That's just me personally.
That he has got to learn to do that better. Don't get me wrong, Mia. I'm not saying he's the what's the word? The complete player. He's not. He's got a lot to learn. I just think that I just think we need a bit of someone who has got that bit of trickery, who will take their defender on. Just have a go at a player. Do you know what I mean? And get the ball over.
See if we had a Sade and then we had a Savinho as the other player, I wouldn't mind that. You know, someone who's got a bit more experience, a bit more of an established player, and then a youngster to come in. Like, I think that's where my problem is because if he's the one now being relied upon, and then behind him is another youngster, and then behind that is another youngster. Like, where's the experience on that left wing?
Yeah, we haven't got any, have we? We haven't got any.
No.
We haven't got any at all, and this is why, I totally agree with what you said earlier, Mia. It's not going to all be done in one go, but the recycling in every window, yeah, that they have to start doing their jobs properly on the scouting side, because it's not all about just finding the player. At the end of the day, we have to make sure that when this player comes in and he is performing, or if he does start performing, we can keep him playing consistently to those levels. And that is how you will upgrade your squad, because the ones that don't perform, whether they've been bought in and they've been here a year, or whether they've been here 2, 3, 4, 7 years under different managers, they have to go. You know, if they're going to believe in De Zerbi, and if it's going to be a 5-year project, and it's not going to be another at the end of the window, he's not going to get what he wants and he ends up leaving or blowing a gasket or whatever. We need to support a manager. The hierarchy need to support a manager. This is not going to happen overnight, especially with Enic. I'll tell you that now. There might be a lot of in and outs over the summer, right? But we still haven't got the right infrastructure in place to do this properly. And I'm afraid, Mia, more than anything, that over the next year or so, if Enic don't start employing football people at the club, we could end up this time next year in the same position or close to where we have been for the last 2 years. That's what really bothers me.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's obviously, like I said, a part of the whole overhaul of the whole thing. It isn't just to do with what players we're getting out of this team. It's about being able to have the correct recruitment in order to be able to get the correct players for the team, and the way that we go about things. I feel like that my image of them in their board meeting is just a load of people just running around screaming, throwing up papers. Like, that's how I imagine them when they ask the question, because I just don't think any of them have a clue. They're just running around screaming like headless, like idiots, like headless chickens running around screeching, because they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing either. Like, that's what it kind of feels like.
You make the decision today. It's not my turn. I did it yesterday.
Yeah, they hide behind like something Not me today. No, 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 no. It's your turn. Pointing the finger while hiding behind the blinds. You know,
Oh
like
dear.
that's what it kind of
Yeah,
feels like.
yeah. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone in the chat. There's a few of you in here. One Spurs King who I haven't said hello to. I'll say to all of you now, good morning to all of you and everyone that's been in this morning. It's been a really busy chat. Popping off today, so I've just gone to the bottom. Big up to Trev as well. I hope you're well, Trev. They've got a discussion going on in the chat about some people want like XXVV, not sold on experience, talent, and output are more important. And then people like Trev coming in and saying, sorry, but I can see a player, and Graham Bergvall and others we have are not ready for first team football yet. They need time. Key word is development. But in my opinion, Barca would not have let him go. And I would imagine the end of that is if he thought he was any good. Different opinions, Trev, from different people. Like I say, I've gone to the bottom. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. Kev, big up to you, mate. I hope you're well. And Sonny, big up to you. There's a few people that maybe have come in. And Kev, big up to you, Kev. I hope you're well this morning. I'm just going to make sure I stay down the bottom of the chat now. And because otherwise I'll get so far behind me. I was half an hour behind just now. Do you know what I mean? And when you're chatting away, it's very difficult to bring up everyone's comments as well. But thanks, everyone, for being in today. Really appreciate you all. Mia, have you heard any other news this morning or yesterday evening, apart from obviously the Savinio news that the talks are advanced there for him? But any other names being mentioned at all with Spurs during the transfer window, or would it be easier to say the names that haven't been mentioned yet?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say names that haven't been mentioned. If you put it in, say if I put it in my Google and say about Tottenham transfer news, it's ridiculous. Like we've been named with linked with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like literally, I'm like, is this for real? Are we really linked to him? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't really believe it. I just roll my eyes. I do like videos here and there, just like a little bit of the updates of the transfers, because I can't be dealing with trying to get through all of it every day, because there's so much nonsense and so much noise at the moment where it's not even actually technically transfer window yet. So that's the crazy thing.
No.
But yeah, I think that there's so much noise with so many potential players that we're linked to, if you like, that I just take not much notice until I get a bit more established, maybe people saying it, and it looks like it could be more likely than not. And then even then, until they hold up the shirt, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion, to be honest with you. Now, Mia, I don't believe anything anymore until they're either standing there having their photo done with a shirt with the manager or whatever, or they've actually got it on their back and they've had their picture taken. I just don't believe anything anymore with this football club. I think it's run shockingly, and maybe not for them and their pockets, but as far as football fans are concerned, I think it's just run abysmally. Other people will disagree. A lot of people will agree. I don't know how that changes. I don't know. But what I will say is that I think Mia's analogy is correct for most fans of that. Talk is cheap now, and the time for action has to come at some stage, and not just action by buying 3 or 4 players in this window and selling 2 or 3 or whatever, or getting rid of. This club needs sustained football knowledge to get it through the next couple of years. Build slowly, get better players in through the door, and get some scouting and coaches in this football team and in this football club that can move us on. a little bit from where we are, because honestly, I don't know if I can do this 17th thing again, Mia. It stresses the life out of me, to be honest with you. And surely someone in the club has got to say now, look, like they did, they come out in their statement and said, and I know a lot of it's word salad and all that, but they come out and said, we have not had our eye on the football and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we know you haven't had the eye on the football. We can tell. We finished 17th and then got relegated. Joe, what I think for me, a football club is like a puzzle. You need to have all the correct pieces for it all to fit together to make the bigger picture. And at the moment, we have got pieces from all different puzzles and they're not fitting together. And I think that's the issue. I believe that Robert De Zerbi is the right manager for us. I think the style of football, the way he is, the way he talks, I think that he's got the right attitude. I think he's got something about him. I think he gets through to the players, and I think he is the right manager. Now it's about giving him the correct pieces for that, for him to be able to get the best out of the team. So he needs to be given the correct pieces. And then obviously that means that we have to have the best scouts or better scouts and a better recruitment team in order to do that. So all of that fits in. And then the medical team, they need to be more on point with what goes on with these players. But these players also, their fitness needs to be on point. So they have a responsibility. And like I say, that's all part of a puzzle that needs to fit together. And next season, we have to make this puzzle fit together, because I don't think many of us can really take what happened this season again, to be honest with you. I feel sorry for the much older fans. So when I said to you, I met that man who was like 88, he was lovely, bless him. And I can't imagine his heart, bless him. He's been going for years, and to watch that nonsense on the pitch and to be nearly getting relegated, you know, I don't think anyone like the older fans, I don't know if they can take it, like, as well as us younger fans. No. They've been watching so much nonsense, and in their time, they've seen glory. They've seen us win so much, and then they're watching this absolute nonsense.
And nonsense it is, Mia. Right, Mia, we're going to wrap up for today. Thanks very much for being on this morning. Really appreciate it. Shout out your channel, Mia, before we go, and anything you've done or got coming up soon.
I'm over at Tottenham's Lone Wolf. I appreciate everyone who's subscribed so far. I'm actually 2 off 200. So if 2 more of you could subscribe, I would really appreciate it. As it's taken me a while to get there. I'm slowly. I'm not really in a rush, but obviously it's nice to see your numbers go up and for my videos to get the views. But yeah, I did a video this morning about the build at Tottenham, what we're doing, what I think should happen, and stuff. So I did a video this morning about that. I've been doing transfers. Like I say, I'm not going crazy on the transfers because it drives me bonkers. There's too many things that everyone's like, all these players, this player and this player and this player. But I will be doing videos. I want to do a video. I could do one with you and then one with Sheriff as well, like to get you guys on my channel and have a chat about what players should come in and what players can go out. Like, there's always discussions to be had about Tottenham, let's be honest.
Yep, there certainly is. There certainly is. Everyone, make sure you get over to Mia. If you get a minute, get over there and sub to Mia. Have a listen to her content, different people popping on from now and again, and videos coming out. So, yeah, Tottenham's Lone Wolf is Mia's channel. Big up. There's a couple of people in the chat already saying they'll be over to sub Mia. So,
thank you.
Big up to all of you. Anyone who hasn't subscribed to the 2 marks, please do. And please like the stream and hype and all that business afterwards. That'd be great. And leave a comment also. We'll always get back to you. The breakfast brunch will be back tomorrow morning as usual, 9:30. Get over here and join us. We're the only breakfast brunch in town at the end of the day, and we'll keep bringing you the content daily, talking to different people coming on the channel, the same people coming on the channel and giving their opinions. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. But big up to all of the chat for being in this morning. Really appreciate you all. Hope you've had a bit of a good conversation going on in there. Big up to you, Mia, for coming on this morning. And most mornings like you do, to be fair. Big up to you for coming on. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30. Have your best day, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.